Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. Here is the Z107.7 Local News for Friday, January 30th, 2026. The victim of a fatal traffic collision on 29 Palms Highway has been named, and new details about the collision have been released by the California Highway Patrol. Yesterday at around 5:30 a.m., the CHP says that the victim was walking within the number 1 lane of westbound 29 Palms Highway east of Adeline Way in Morongo Valley. They identified the victim as David Hill, a 62-year-old resident of Morongo Valley. The CHP says that a driver from Yucca Valley in a Hyundai Sonata was driving westbound on 29 Palms Highway when the front of the Sonata collided with the victim. The CHP says that Hill was thrown into the eastbound lanes of the highway where he was struck by additional vehicles. Hill was pronounced dead at the scene by the Morongo Valley Fire Department. The CHP says that they do not suspect alcohol or drugs were involved in the collision. A nationwide effort to stand in solidarity with the state of Minnesota today may impact how you shop at local businesses here in the high desert. Online news editor Robert Hayden has the story.
No work, no school, no shopping. Stop funding ICE. That's the slogan behind a nationwide day of action taking place today. There are variations on the slogan, much like the name of the action itself. Some are calling it a general strike, but it's also being called a national shutdown by student groups from the University of Minnesota who organized a shutdown of the Twin Cities on January 23rd. The planned nationwide protests are a call for solidarity in response to the killings that have taken place this year by U.S. Immigration and Customs Informants, or ICE officers. The Guardian reports that so far this year, 8 people have died in dealings with the federal agents. Most recently in Minnesota, Renee Good was shot dead in her car by federal officers on January 7th, and Alex Preddy was shot dead on the street during a protest on January 24th. Both were Minnesota residents. Some businesses around the Morongo Basin are taking part in the general strike. Many restaurants, bars, and shops have posted to their socials in a spectrum of responses. Some are fully closed for the day. Other businesses are staying open but donating to nonprofits or other organizations. Some are staying open and don't mention it at all. That ambiguous nature of the general strike has lent itself to many different kinds of reactions from businesses and individuals, but the local businesses that have publicly shown support for the general strike are all doing so with the message that they want ICE off of American streets. Along with the planned general strike, nationwide demonstrations are expected on Friday. Here in the Morongo Basin, there have been anti-ICE demonstrations on Highway 62 in both 29 Palms and Joshua Tree for the last few weekends, and those are both expected to continue into the weekend. As of Friday morning, there haven't been any local counter-protests announced. National chain stores aren't expected to be closed today, but if you want to shop or spend at a local business, you may want to check their socials to give them a call to see if they're open. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
A large-scale solar project in Lucerne Valley was given the green light by the county of San Bernardino despite opposition from a local group. The project is proposed for nearly 2,000 acres in the area of 33850 Granite Road in Lucerne Valley. The project is proposed by Avantis LLC and would bring power towers and lines across 1,854 acres or 27 parcels. The project was approved by the San Bernardino County Planning Commission in 2025, but the Morongo Basin Conservation Association filed an appeal to the County Board of Supervisors asking them to reconsider that approval. Their appeal was based on environmental concerns and water use, along with their preference for small-scale solar projects over larger developments. At Tuesday's meeting of the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors, the board rejected the MBCA's appeal, effectively giving the county's green light to move ahead with the solar project. The MBCA's Steve Bardwell said, quote, "We were disappointed the county denied our appeal and approved the Sienna Solar Project over the voices of Lucerne Valley and Morongo Basin residents. The county has chosen to place the development of this massive solar project over the wishes and concerns of its rural residents." The MBCA continues to call for the adoption of reliable and resilient rooftop solar in the built environment and appropriately sited utility-scale solar to address the growing climate crisis. More event sponsorships were granted at the 29 Palms Tourism Business Improvement District's monthly meeting yesterday. Annalise Kuiper was there and brings us this report.
Hotel guests in 29 Palms pay a small fee per night, which is collected by the Tourism Business Improvement District and distributed amongst event applicants to put on selected productions throughout the year. At the November 2025 meeting, the deadline for applications for 2026 TBID event grants and sponsorships was extended to December 31st, 2025, as the board felt not enough time had been granted to prospective applicants. 6 additional grant applications were received, of which 3 were deemed ineligible. The remaining applications moved forward and were reviewed by the Planning Department. These were Sky's the Limit Cosmic Connection, which received $3,000, Friends of the Historic Plaza Holistic Health Fair, which received $2,500, and High Desert Lo-Fi Lit Weekend, which received $2,500. The Spring Equinox event was granted partial sponsorship of $6,000 with the stipulation that 75% of attendees must have overnight accommodations in the city of 29 Palms. The Stay and Play event to be put on by JT Brewing Company was granted partial funding of $9,000. The advisory board spent time discussing how to not just encourage, but make it mandatory for event participants to stay in 29 Palms overnight. Board member Ben Uyeda had this to say.
I'm uncomfortable with the idea of encouragement alone. I think from an accountability standpoint is pushing for it to be more explicitly stated, because right now you can't hold someone accountable in a material way to being encouraging. You can't hold them accountable to, yep, we got receipts, this many of our guests booked in 29 Palms.
Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Annalise Kuiper.
Boxo Projects is hosting an open studio and artist talk with their visiting artist, Emily Herment, an interdisciplinary artist whose work explores the materiality of communication. Expect to see drawings from her textile-based processes inspired by the natural structures of the desert. The open studio and artist talk is tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Boxo Projects, located at 62732 Sullivan Road in Joshua Tree. Ringing in La Saison de l'Amour, Theater 29 brings the many-faceted Fate Called Love in a new cabaret for February 6th through the 8th. Arts and entertainment reporter Charlie Thomas tells how all we need is love.
Theater 29 is proud to announce the cast and performance dates for All We Need Is Love, a vibrant and heartfelt cabaret exploring the many forms of love: romantic, platonic, familial, self-love, and everything in between. Directed by Lisa Hodgson and musically directed by Aaron Itnar-Kieran, All We Need Is Love brings together a dynamic group of performers for an evening of powerful songs and storytelling that celebrates connection, vulnerability, and the universal need for love. Some of Theater 29's favorite local performers will grace the stage with prodigious talents including Carly Zwicker, Kat Christine, Imelda Patu, Jasmine Schaefer, Makasi Boykin, Michael Simpson, Robin Wilson, Sabrina Giron, Tiffany Crocker, and Veronica Alcantara. All We Need Is Love will run Friday, February 6th and Saturday, February 7th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, February 8th at 2:30 p.m. Tickets are available online at theater29.org. All We Need Is Love is proudly supported by a grant from Visit 29. Reporting for Z107.7, this is arts and entertainment reporter Charlie Thomas.
And finally, the Flying Doctors are returning to the Morongo Basin in March to provide free dental and vision services to adults and children. Each year, Los Médicos Voladores, also known as the Flying Doctors, visit our community for a 2-day event in which they provide dental, vision, hearing screenings, sports physicals, and other medical services at no cost. This year's event has been announced for Saturday, March 7th and Sunday, March 8th. Z107.7 is a sponsor of this event. Stay tuned for more information as the event approaches. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.